Cases of COVID-19 surging to more than 213,000 cases in the U.S. America's federal frontman in this fight is Vice President Mike Pence, the head of the White House coronavirus task force. I spoke with him earlier today, and he made clear the worst is still to come. Mr. Vice President, thank you so much for joining us. We know you have limited time, and we have lots of questions. So, you and the President have now made clear 100,000 to 240,000 Americans could die in this pandemic. How do we avoid that?
Well, what we've done from the very beginning when the President stood up the White House Coronavirus Task Force in January is follow the data, follow the science. We looked at the day-to-day numbers in states that have been impacted and states across the country. And our team brought that information to the President. The President's brought it to the American people. And it's the reason why today we're asking every American for the next 30 days to continue, at a minimum, the President's coronavirus guidelines for America. Every American can know that the way we bring that number down, the way we save lives, is if each and every one of us will do our part to slow the spread.
And to that point, Mr. Vice President, you and your team have talked a lot about the importance of social distancing. So if social distancing is the best tool to combat the pandemic, why not mandate it nationally?
Well, what we've done from the very beginning is really follow the facts and the data and give our very best recommendation to the American public. But we've also been working very closely with governors around the country to make sure that they have the information and the resources to make the best decision for their communities. And the reality is, Byron, today there are some 19 states where there's been very little outbreak of the coronavirus. And we really do believe that if every American will put into practice the President's coronavirus guidelines, that's wash your hands, that's if you're sick, stay home, that's if you can work from home, we think that creates a foundation for being able to put this behind us by the summertime and ultimately to save lives.
As it relates to social distancing, we're still seeing large groups gather across the country in a variety of ways. As you know, this week in Louisiana, people were still going to church. What's your message to folks still heading outside of their homes to go to church services?
Well, for Karen and I, and I know the President, we've been enjoying worship services online. We're so grateful to churches and synagogues and places of worship around America that have heeded the President's coronavirus guidelines for America. We really believe this is a time when people should avoid gatherings of more than 10 people. And so we continue to urge churches around America to heed to that.
Vice President Pence, bridge this gap for me, if you would. You and the President have insisted that resources are available by the thousands for states who need them. But yet governors, both Republicans and Democrats, say they don't have what they need. On our air every single night, sir, we have doctors, nurses, foot soldiers on the ground who, with tears in their eyes, say they don't have what they need. How do you explain that discrepancy?
We are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that our healthcare workers on the front lines have the protective equipment to be able to do their job and stay healthy while they do it. We're speaking regularly, particularly with governors in New York and New Jersey and Washington and California, in areas where there's been significant outbreak. We've been surging resources into those areas, whether it be the N95 masks that healthcare workers need to wear, or whether it be ventilators or gowns or gloves. And I promise you, we're delivering those by the millions. We're ordering them by the millions.
You're at a distribution center today in Virginia. Our food supply chain may be strong, but our economy is hurting. Today is the first day of the month, and a lot of Americans have bills to pay, rents to do. What can you tell those people who are more concerned perhaps about the unemployment than you are about the virus at this point? How can you assure them, tell them when they may get back to work?
Well, it's a great question, Byron. I appreciate that. And I am here at the Walmart Distribution Center in Virginia because one of the great success stories, I think, right after our great healthcare workers in this country, is all the men and women that are working to keep our food supply strong and vibrant across the country. We've got farmers working in the fields. We got 1,000 people here at this Virginia distribution center. It's really inspiring. But every American I know is concerned about the strength of this economy, and that's the reason why the President worked on a bipartisan basis on Capitol Hill to sign the Relief and Recovery Act last week. We're grateful for Democrat and Republican leadership in Congress that put that $2 trillion bill on the table. Every American family of four on average will receive about $3,400 in a direct payment in the weeks ahead. And we're going to continue to support critical industries around the country so that when we put the coronavirus behind us, which if you looked at that modeling last night, we believe we're in a much better place by June the 1st if every American will put these guidelines into practice. We really do believe that by Memorial Day weekend or by early summer, we can be through the hardest part of this. I want every working family to know that help is on the way, that the support we're giving the states in unemployment benefits is there. And as President Trump has said many times, we're going to do whatever it takes to get the American people, to get our healthcare workers, to get people afflicted by the coronavirus, and to get our economy through this.
Mr. Vice President, I have a final question for you. I ask this not as in a political way, but for you, sir, like so many of us in our nation, you are a person of deep faith. No one doubts that. When you talk to God in your moments alone, do you find yourself worrying at all that people you represent and care deeply about have died and will die who did not need to because of steps the federal government did not take soon enough?
Well, thank you for mentioning that we are talking about one American at a time. And I promise you that's the way President Trump thinks of this. It's the way I think of it. We wanted the American people to see the numbers so that we understand the challenging days that lie ahead. But I want people to know that our future is in your hands, that if every one of us will do and put into practice the guidelines for America, that we can bring those numbers down. I really do believe them. We'll get through this, and we'll come out stronger than ever before.
Vice President Mike Pence, thank you, sir. Godspeed to you.
Thank you, Byron.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.